Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are very well, and I hope you are enjoying my anonymous confessions that I'm reading out and narrating to you. This next confession is about a witch doctor and how he became a witch doctor and the experiences and the wisdom that he went through over the years. And he teaches a bit of how he was doing stuff as a witch doctor. And the confession goes like this. When people see me, they thought that it was all fun and games. But in the actual fact is that I went through a lot. Because I had to learn a lot during the experiences of being a witch doctor. Because I encountered a lot and have seen a lot. It all started when I was a young boy. Because I finished my grade because of the ancestors. They were fighting against me to leave school because I had to do what they demanded to heal people and to help people. On my grade 1, I was a super smart kid. My grade 1 to grade 2, grade 3 to grade 4. On my grade 5, when I was doing my grade 5, I started hearing voices that I couldn't understand where they were coming from. Because those voices were telling me to go to the mountain. And I started asking myself a lot of questions. So luckily I went to my auntie. My auntie was much older than my mother, and she had a lot of experience in life. So she told me that it is the ancestors that were talking to me, because I told her everything that was happening to me. And after her explaining of how everything works in the spiritual way, I kind of understood, even though I was still a kid, but I kind of understood, because the things that were happening to me, I saw that they were the things not of this world. So me and my aunt decided to confront my mother, and luckily my mother agreed that we have to consult a traditional healer. As we arrived at a traditional healer, the traditional healer told us that we needed to go to the mountain while he's assisting us, because the mountain there, it was the forbidden mountain that people were scared of going there, because there were a lot of scary creatures and big spiritual snakes that when you enter there without permission of a traditional healer, it's either you go there for 6 months, and if you are lucky, the spiritual things there will release you after 6 months, or when you are not lucky, you can go there forever and never ever be seen. So as we agreed with the traditional healer that we needed to go there, 2 weeks later we went there. As we arrived there, the traditional healer told my auntie to stay back, and the traditional healer told me to enter with him in the inside of the cave, so that he can introduce me to the ancestors, so that the ancestors can communicate better with me. Because in that forbidden mountain, it's a spiritual mountain where ancestors have an easy access to communicate with you much better. So as we were communicating with the ancestors, the traditional healer was talking with the ancestors in a language that I couldn't understand. Because when you look at it nicely or closely, our ancestors are very old in such a way that some of them, they used languages that were very hard to understand, such as Latin is one of them, because it's an old language that was used by the elders. And not only Latin, and other deep languages that you wouldn't understand. So as the traditional healer was talking with those ancestors in a language that I didn't understand, and it looks like while he was talking with them, he was pleading, so that he was pleading and asking them, telling them that at least I should finish school first, because I was in my grade 5, I was still very young. So he was pleading with the ancestors that I should finish school first, and the ancestors agreed to give me 2 years so that I can complete my primary. Because in Africa it's grade 1 to grade 7. After grade 7 is called grade 8. Grade 8 is a junior. Grade 8 to 10 is junior level. So they agreed so that I can finish my primary level, and after I should do what they asked for, because they gave me once in a lifetime opportunity to complete my primary. So after the witch doctor finished consulting with the ancestors there back there in the Forbidden Mountain, I and the witch doctor and my auntie went back home. So as soon as I arrived home, life continued. 2 years later, I had completed my grade 7. And when I tried to go to my next level of grade 8, what I saw was unbelievable. Meaning that I started experiencing a lot of bad luck. Because when I was in class, I could go like dark black. I could go like blind in such a way that I couldn't see what was the teacher writing on that board. And as time went, when I arrived at home, I started cooking in a pot, a big pot, that I was preparing myself water for bathing. As I was still waiting for the water to boil, I went near the stove without touching anything. I just wanted to take a peek and see if the water is boiling. Surprisingly, that pot mysteriously sort of like floated on the air and went straight to me. And luckily, that hot boiling water landed on my feet, where it burned my feet. So as I was screaming for help, while I was still in pain, I called my mother, and my mother took me to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital there, they bandaged me. So I slept there for 2 days in the hospital. On the third day in the morning, I saw my bandages. They were like cut with a scissors. And when I asked the nurses who did this, the nurses were surprised that they did not know who did it. Because when they see you having a third-degree burn, they leave those bandages for a week or more. But they were surprised also that they saw my bandage having been trimmed like someone trimmed it with the scissors. So then I realized that it is the ancestors. They were really angry with me because I did not go against their will. After getting out of the hospital, I went back to school. As I was in school, the teacher was teaching. While the teacher was still teaching us, I became deaf in such a way that I couldn't even hear what the teacher was saying. My ears, they closed. They muted, in other words. And my eyes started becoming pitch black in such a way that I couldn't see anything. So I screamed. And when the teacher saw me that I'm screaming, the teacher took me and we walked to the office, and he called my mother. And as my mother arrived, she started crying, knowing that the ancestors were doing this. So my mother took me back home, and as we sat down, we started talking about me leaving school because we saw that the ancestors were very angry at us because of going against their will. And as I started becoming more mature, I remember I used to love smoking cigarettes. I could smoke about 2 packs in a day of cigarettes. And one day, as I started lighting my cigarette, I was all alone in my room. I started lighting the cigarette because that time, I was not living with my parents. I was much more mature and I was living alone. I rented a house there alone. So I started living my own life. So as I started lighting the cigarette in my room, the cigarette would switch off by itself. So in my mind, I was just thinking that maybe there was not enough oxygen around the place. So I went outside. As I went outside, I started lighting the matches. As I started lighting the matches, it switched off also again. The matches. I took the second matches, I started lighting, it switched off. On the third try, when I started trying to light the matches, I had like someone was beating me with a clap on my face. As I was surprised like that, I sat down and I was starting to ask myself a lot of questions that why is it that when I'm trying to light this cigarette, it switches off first. And when I try to light the matches, 2 matches switches off in an instant. So why is it that way? So I let it slide. I went to sleep. Then I started dreaming. In my dreams, I saw 2 old men and an old woman. The old woman was in the middle of the 2 old men. So the old woman gave me what you call a sniff. The old woman gave me a sniff on my dreams. So I started asking myself, why is this old woman giving me a sniff? A sniff is a African cigarette, and women and men inhale it through their noses. So as she gave me that sniff, she was telling me that the more that you use this sniff is the more that we are going to give you more spiritual powers, and it is the more that we connect with your body. As time went, I started helping people and healing them. I have done so many things, including job promotions, bringing back your lost lover, and erectile dysfunction. Those are the things that I really master on doing. And last but not least, removing things that are installed inside of your body, such as snakes, such as so many things, like the story that you're narrating of a Zimbabwean witch doctor taking a tennis ball and removing a snake inside of the person's stomach. I do the same thing, but I do it in a different way, in such a way that I do cuts and I use my mouth to suck out whatever is inside of your body. After sucking that thing out, I have to spit it on the floor so that you can see what has been installed inside of your body. So those are the things that I can do. And as time went, I remember this other time when I heard that there was a place called, in Setswana, it's called a Moletelo, but I'll translate it to you. It's called a place where pastors, spiritual, powerful pastors, come together and pray for a particular house. The pastors, they go to a particular house and they pray and they remove things such as tokolosis and other spiritual bad omens inside of that yard. So that is Molatolo in Setswana, but in English, that is the translation, where pastors, powerful pastors, go to a particular house and they remove bad omens such as tokolosis. So as I heard of that Moletelo, where pastors go to a particular house and remove tokolosis and bad omens, I went there to that particular house, and when I arrived there, I started feeling so anxious in such a way that I started seeing like a vision. I saw a tail, a short person with a tail, moving around a particular bedroom. And as that short thing with a short person with a tail of a snake started moving around, I realized that it was called tokolosi. That tokolosi senses also, because it's also a spiritual thing. That tokolosi, when I was seeing it on my vision, it was moving up and down in a particular bedroom, because it saw us that we are there to remove it. So as it was moving up and down, it disappeared and it went to the toilet. As it went to the toilet, while I was with the pastors, I told them what I was seeing, and indeed, even them, they saw the same thing what I saw. So as they tried to go to the toilet, it disappeared back to the bedroom. So they took what is known as holy water, the water that has been prayed for. So they started taking it and spraying it on the door firstly before they entered. As they entered, they sprayed on the blankets everywhere. So there was a particular pastor that is known for removing things on clothes. As that pastor came, he went to the wardrobe. As he went to the wardrobe, he took some clothes inside. He checked, and when he put his hand inside where the clothes were, he removed fast. As he removed his hand so fast, he removed a snake a living live snake. And he was and as he was holding that snake, he told one of his servants to bring a plastic bag so that he can put that particular snake inside. And the job was done for the day. And later that evening, they had a family meeting with the owners of the yard. They talked to them that no, that is the tokolosi that was killing family members and the one that was causing poverty inside of that particular family. So that was the day that I realized that I'm even good at prophecy, because I could see things in a vision, and indeed whatever I see in a vision, it happens. And what I can say is the most scariest part in my life, when I started healing and helping people, I called a particular woman. The woman was telling me that she was not breathing nicely because she felt like something is going up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes that thing could go down to the feet and make her feet swell up and become painful. So as I'm used to these things, because I like taking a razor blade and cutting a person where he or she is telling me that it's painful. I make 2 cuts and I suck out a bit of blood, and also while I'm still sucking out whatever that has been installed inside of your body comes out with a bit of blood. So as I started making cuts on that woman, I sucked out. As I was sucking out, then I spit out that thing that has been living in that woman for years and years. I saw an egg, and I was surprised that how could an egg be living inside of that person. So that is one of the experiences that I have. I sucked out a living egg inside of a human body that has been installed by witches and wizards. So after removing that egg out of that particular woman, she was healed after that day. Yeah, thank you for listening to the confession. That was the end of the confession by a particular witch doctor that had contacted me. Thank you and God bless.